I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Judy Lynn, and you are listening to Practical and Inspired Conversation for the Budding Entrepreneur.
We have a great topic for you today, and it is how to create your elevator pitch.
Tell them what an elevator pitch is. I'm picturing standing in an elevator somewhere, like talking to, stars if you're in Hollywood. I don't know.
Oh, I hadn't thought about it that way. But yes, an elevator pitch is named an elevator pitch as in if the doors close and you have just a few seconds between the time the elevator is descending and the time those doors open again, can you get information out to the people that are in that elevator about who you are and what you do effectively enough so that they will be able to have a good idea of what you have to offer at the end?
So essentially, you're talking about giving them all the information about yourself and what you do within a minute?
Probably closer to 30 seconds. I like to say an intro can be as short as 20 words because the human brain can only process about 17, so they're going to cut out about 3 of them anyway. You might as well just go ahead and narrow it down to about 20. The worst thing that you can do as an entrepreneur is when you introduce yourself, confuse your audience.
Yeah, because most people, when they're in an elevator or otherwise, when they first meet you, they're not really listening. So you've got to grab them right away. And you can't say the mundane. You can't start out with something like, Kimberly?
My least favorite answer to, so what do you do is, oh, I do a lot of things.
Name yourself, Lucy. They're not going to say that.
Exactly. And we do, as entrepreneurs, we do a lot of things, but that's not what they're asking. They're not asking like, how busy is your day? They're actually asking for information so that they can either work with you themselves or maybe pass on your name and information to somebody else who might be able to work with you. So one of the cool things that you can do as an entrepreneur is tighten up that speech and that intro as tightly as possible so that you're giving information to people without confusing them.
Right. And if you just tell them who you are with a title, do you think that really explains who you are?
So the problem with titles is that titles can be made up as an entrepreneur for pretty much anything. Yeah. I mean, we are, as entrepreneurs, we're CEOs, which is Chief Executive Officer, which really doesn't give them any information about what it is that we do, right? On top of that, we could be founder, we could be business owner, we could be creator, we could be a lot of different things, but the title itself may not really give information. In fact, when I was young, I actually had a job in personnel, and they were just changing the name from personnel to human resources. And I remember telling my family, oh, I'm in human resources. And most of the people would say, what's that? And I would try to explain and I would try to explain. And then finally somebody would say, oh, you mean personnel? And I'd be like, yeah, that's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like getting that new title when you were a housewife back in the old days. They gave it the domestic engineer. Just a fancy title for doing the same job. But what you want to do when you speak to someone about what you're doing is you want to put it in a creative way that's going to draw them in and create an interest in you and in your business. And remember, you are the brand. As an entrepreneur, you are the brand, right, Kimberly?
Absolutely. But what you don't want to do is confuse them. So if you say, I'm a domestic engineer, what they heard is engineer. And they're thinking that that's what you do. Maybe you work somewhere, or maybe you go to fix jet engines or something like that. And it is really just another form of confusing people. So my recommendation for creating an elevator pitch or an intro really is super simple, and it only has 3 parts.
What are those parts? I would guess, if I could guess, it would be who you are.
Yes.
What you do or what you want to sell, and your target market.
So great question, great ideas. And those are things that you can definitely contain within an elevator pitch. But one of the things that people are listening for is how it affects them. So what you want to say in these 3 things are who you serve, which you included there, who you serve, so your target market and the audience that you serve, and then what they get by working with you, which is an end result of something that they're going to be able to take away after they successfully work with you. And then finally, how you're going to get them there. So say, for example, you're selling diet products, right? You would want to say, I serve new moms who are trying to lose the baby weight, and that's number one, with having them be able to get into their old pants size. That's the result they're going to get. And then how you're going to do it. You got to tell them whether it's a diet plan or an exercise plan or a pill or a coffee or what it is that you sell in order to get them there. So those are the three key elements.
Exactly. And when you present yourself with those three key elements, you're going to draw that person in if they are the perfect client or customer for you. If they are not, they're not going to be interested, and that's okay, right?
It is okay, because what they really are wanting is not necessarily to buy your product, but they also may be interested in hearing from you because they may know somebody who needs your product. Right. And if weight loss, that could be something that they're thinking of. You know, my sister Susie could definitely talk to this person. Or, you know, my friend Jane could definitely be having a conversation with her. So for example, would it be all right if I shared one that is in real life rather than a hypothetical?
Absolutely. Please do.
All right. So one of the businesses that I have that I talk about from time to time is creating audiobooks for authors. And when people ask me, what is it that I do? And I'm talking about that particular business, I will say, I am in the business of helping authors create brand new streams of revenue and a whole new audience by creating an audiobook out of their existing book. And in that way, I can tell people who I serve, authors, what they get, a new stream of revenue and a whole new market, and what I do in order to get them there, create an audiobook. If I got real nebulous and said, I help authors achieve their dreams, then they wouldn't be able to refer me to a buddy or a friend who had a book that might need an audiobook.
Right, because who knows what a dream is, right? You have to be really specific. Really
specific. So when you're creating your speech and your intro speech, make sure that you tap into those three things and get as clear as possible so that when the person walks away, they have a good idea of what you do. In case in point, I actually had somebody that I spoke to about 6 months ago where I gave that exact intro speech, and they reached out to me and said, hey, just this last week, hey, I've got a friend who's really interested in audiobooks. Are you still doing that? And can I introduce you? Because I gave them a full bit of information very quickly and didn't confuse them, they were able to refer me to somebody else who did need our services.
Perfect.
Now, I'm sure that you've experienced the exact same thing. Have you ever experienced either yourself or one of your clients where you've been a little bit nebulous and didn't get the message across, or you were really concise and you were able to really deliver a message and they got it?
Yeah, I have. Excuse me, I'm choking to death over here. I have. And when I really got clear on how I helped people, it made all the difference in the world. When I met someone and I say, what do you do? Because what I do is so, they don't really know what it is. EFT, energy healing, law of attraction. A lot of people don't know what that is or how it all ties together. So when I say I'm a mindset and law of attraction development coach who helps entrepreneurs blast through their limitations, their personal limitations, and take their business and lives to the next level and make the kind of money that they want, that's specific, right?
I get it.
Yeah. Excuse me. So that takes people exactly to a place where they know who you are and what you do. Whether they can use your services or not, or whether they even know someone who does or not, you are telling them exactly what you do and they don't have to ask any other questions.
The trouble with entrepreneurs sometimes is that we try to get, we outsmart ourselves and we try to get really cute and clever about what we do. And that can be really detrimental to our business, because if we start saying glorious things and using flowery language, what happens on the other side of that conversation is that you'll get people nodding along and saying, oh, that's interesting. And they'll walk away with no idea how they can introduce you to, or even if they need your services themselves.
Yeah, it just sounded really good to them and they think you're really intelligent and they think you're awesome, but they have no idea what you do or if they could use you or anyone else could use your services or products.
Exactly.
So, Kimberly, what do you think the biggest takeaway from creating a really good elevator speech could be?
Oh, I mean, my personal opinion from a practical standpoint, sales. From an inspirational standpoint, I would say you're having an impact on people. You're really giving them something that they can walk away with. And you're creating in the world a possibility that didn't exist before.
And from an inspirational point too, when you give that elevator speech that's really, really tuned in to the truth of what you do and who you are, you're coming from an authentic place. And what happens when you come from that authentic place, man? That energy runs from you. And what happens when that energy runs from you? You're going to attract the perfect client and the perfect customer.
Exactly.
And that's just what happens, because energy is so powerful. I get so excited when I talk about this because
I know. And your energy flows into me just long distance having this conversation. I can feel when you get really enthusiastic about something and you're very clear on your messaging, I can get that energy from you very, very quickly and carry it forward in our conversation.
And I'll tell you something, and I want everybody to really hear this. It makes a difference. I've seen it in my business. I've seen it in my clients' businesses. I've seen it in Kimberly's business since I've known her. It makes a difference. Don't discard this as something that just isn't important, or maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't. Really think about this, because it will change the way your business operates from this time forward, especially when you make those personal connections with people.
Absolutely. So when you're creating your intro or your elevator pitch, be sure you include those 3 elements: who you serve, what they get as a result of working with you, and the way that you deliver your services. Make sure that you include those 3 elements, and you're going to be a rising star and a huge success, and the energy will start flowing your direction.
Rock stars. Thanks for joining us, you guys. I am Judy Lynn.
And I'm Kimberly. And this has been practical and inspiring conversations for the budding entrepreneur.
And don't forget, click on the link below, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget about the bell, because that'll give you all of the notifications when we have new videos coming out. And you're not going to want to miss these.
You're not going to even want to miss one. So click on the bell and make sure that you get those notifications.
See you guys next time.
Cheers.